Round 2 of the Bankfin Off-Road Championship got underway with an expo at the Olympia Hall in Pietermaritzburg recently. The off-road fraternity turned out in force to give ardent fans a taste of the action, scheduled to get underway at the Beaumont Eston Farmers Club the following day. Steve of Big Brother fame tried his hand at riding Alfie Cox's Dakar KTM, but with little success. Of activity as the 106 Special and Production Vehicle crews attended to last-minute preparations before the 40-kilometer prologue to determine starting positions for Saturday's main race. The huge entry consisted of 16 Class A, 12 Class S, 32 Class B and 7 Class C cars in the Special Vehicle category, where John Ware-Smith and Atang Magagrenene would resume battle for the overall and class honours. In the Production Vehicle category, there were 9 Class T, 18 Class D, 8 Class E and 3 Class F entries, where the main focus would be on the titanic battle between the works Ford, Nissan and Toyota teams. Overall victory in the Barberspun 500 sees Arpi Reineke and Robin Houghton take an early lead in the Production Vehicle Championship, with Toyota teammates Pete Haasbroek and Christo Bosch 2 points behind. Reineke and Houghton's victory in the Barberspun 500 ended a long winless streak for the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser crew.
What I saw in the Barberspan, that our car is now up to match the Ford, so he is a threat, but our car also up to the other cars now, like the Ford and the Nissan, so we're quite confident that we can make it, and we will make it.
The Special Vehicle Championship is delicately poised, with 4 drivers separated by a mere 4 points. Magagrenene's maiden victory in the Barberspun 500 sees him at the top of the championship log. The Botswana-born driver showed the rest of the field a clean pair of heels on the Barberspun 500 and gave notice that he would be the one to beat this season.
With the car that we have, new gearbox, new engine, different wheels. We're running 35-inch tires in the front as opposed to the old 33s. And the engine is a Chevy engine, 450 horsepower engine, and with a 4-speed Fortin gearbox. So there's a lot of power. I just learned to know how to brake early, because we're coming in very fast as opposed to before, and I have to learn to just manage the whole package. I think we'll make it. We'll be there at the end.
One of the stalwarts of off-road racing is the veteran Cliff Barker, who has won all but 2 of the national championship events in his long career.
It's been Sugarbelt in the desert race. Always, we've tried and failed, so we'd like to go with a win and maybe win the desert race, and then maybe we can retire happy, sit in our rocking chair. Obviously now with a bit of backing from Land Rover Financial Services, this could be possible. We have a good season. The last time Land Rover backed us was in 1994, and we won the roof and won the championship. So maybe this is a turning point.
Warren Claassen survived a fiery accident on the Barberspun 500 and was lucky to escape with only minor burns.
I did a lot of work on the safety of the car with the new fuel tank. The other fuel tank was very old and brittle. With the new one, it will be able to take a punch if it has to next time. The front suspension of the vehicle is brand new, because that also got bent in the incident. So we'll see how it goes now.
The prologue proved to be a tough test for many crews. The French-built Team Ford Racing Ranger required some attention after the prologue.
Yeah, just a small problem. We broke the gear linkage on the gearbox, so unfortunately we did 26 kilometers in 3rd gear. It's a bit of a problem in a tight event like this, you know, the river crossings and road crossings where you've got to stop. It's compulsory to stop, so to take off in 3rd gear was a bit of a problem. I think we lost about 2.5 minutes, I think, to the leaders. So got our hands full tomorrow, but it's quite nice. I love to chase, so it's going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. We're just pulling the gearbox out now to make sure that everything's okay, because we've had to slip the clutch quite a few times on the river crossings and that, so just to make sure it's all okay.
The N1 4x4 team fields 4 trucks in the production vehicle category, and team principal Cliff Weichelt's American-built Ford Ranger also required some tender loving care after the prologue.
So, Cliff, what's the problem?
We hit one of those cautions. We were drifting sideways, and we thought, no, we hit that sideways, we'll be over. So we went straight and we bent our belly plate. But nothing serious. we're just scared we hit another one and we get more damage. So we need to sort it out quickly.
The locally built M&E glass bat of father and son duo Bodo and Gary Bertholdt dominated the prologue and would start over a minute ahead of Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek in the works Nissan hardbody. For the Nissan Sugarbelt 400 comprised a north and south loop, which crews would have to complete twice.
Unfortunately, with all the dew on the grass, we're going to have to take it very easy in the morning until such time as the sun comes out and it's nice and dry. So while it's slippery, we'll take it easy. The four-wheel drives do have an advantage, but fortunately, we've got a nice bat here, which will take us well to the finish, hopefully.
Veteran Hannes Grobler was hoping to break a winless streak and gave notice to the rest of the production vehicle field that he would be the man to beat by posting a time 25 seconds faster than teammate and reigning champion Geniel de Villiers.
You've got an advantage that you haven't got that much dust, but it could be slippery and you're going to make road for the other guys. And also there's sometimes some private guys with their cars on the roads, so when the first guy goes past, then they give way for the other guys.
Tosca farmers Pete Harsbrook and Christo Bosch have proved to be formidable contenders in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser in Class D. A podium finish on the Barberspun 500 was a major boost for the team.
Ding is ons moet kyk vir die stof. Ek weet dit gaan 'n droë wedren wees. En die ou wat die beste kan bestuur, want dit is 'n rally waar met bestuurstegniek het. Ek weet dit sien net vir jag nie. Mense moet kan tussen die sekuriteitslane want die gras is baie nat, hulle gly. En ek hoop dit gaan goed.
Despite their knowledge of the local conditions, Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham could only post a time 1 second faster than Hugo and Jaap de Bruin in the Toyota Hilux.
Being a farmer myself, I mean, I've driven sugarcane fields every day of my life, so I know where the ditches and the yumps are, so I should be able to read the road quite well.
A sunny and respectable 8 o'clock start for the Nissan Sugarbelt 400, and ahead of the 107 starters lay 414 kilometers of tough racing through sugarcane fields, forests, and over mountainous terrain. The Bertholdts were first off the line, but their race would be run within the first hour when a front spindle broke. Grobler and Leek had the advantage of four-wheel drive on the Nissan hardbody and would use it to maximum benefit in the slippery early morning conditions. But breathing down their necks were a host of other Class T contenders. Reigning champions Geniel de Villiers and Francois Jordan scored their maiden production vehicle victory on last year's Nissan Sugarbelt 400. A non-finish at the Barberspun 500 meant that they would have to play catch-up if they had any hope of winning back-to-back championships. The 4 times touring car champion has taken to off-road racing like the proverbial duck to water and has competed in only 13 off-road races, including this event, in his short but spectacularly successful off-road career. Arpi Reineke and Robin Houghton have won the championship 5 times since 1995, and based on their performance in the Barberspun 500, the 2002 Bankfin Off-Road Championship could well be their 6th. The next special vehicle off the line was the Nashua Mobile Racing Gymco of Terence Marsh and Trevor Ahir, who are also relative newcomers to the sport. Hot on their heels were Barberspun 500 runners-up John Weir-Smith and Tony George in the O'Hagan's Kopanong Hotel BMW Gymco. Next up was Brandon Harkis and Colin Howell in the locally built and designed Nissan-powered Bat. Moreca Ford Caledon 400 winners Greg Dowse and Trevor Ormerod were Class S championship leaders after a podium finish in the Barberspun 500. They had to contend with some serious pressure from Neil Woolridge and Kenny Scholthammer in the Ford Ranger, who had to take avoiding action when Dowse lost control of the Nashua Mobile Racing Raceco. Woolridge gained a place within meters of the start, and the race was now with the Ford pair hell-bent on hauling in the Toyota and the Nissans. Rob and Gareth Walk were early casualties when the super paved Mighty Mag broke down shortly after the start.
What's happened here, guys? Look at the splines. The splines, look here. Turn left, right, here. Look there. That thing's standing in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
What's happened? The splines on the gearbox from the spouty gears, the splines seem to have stripped. So we've got no drive. Looks like we'll be drinking beer today.
200. 100 T-right shop. 100 T-right shop. Shop.
Following the early demise of Gary and Bodo Berthold, Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek moved into the lead, but couldn't relax their pace because they had their Nissan teammates Geniel de Villiers and Francois Jordan in close pursuit. De Villiers is not one to play the waiting game. He attacks from the start and prefers to lead rather than to chase. RP Reineke and Robin Houghton were having a steady run in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, which will soon be replaced by a brand new vehicle, currently nearing completion at Toyota Motorsport. On board with special vehicle category leaders John Weir-Smith and Tony George in the O'Hagan's Kopenhagen Hotel BMW-powered Jimco, now fitted with 35-inch tyres all round to improve braking and handling. Weir-Smith has had his fair share of podium finishes, but victory has eluded him in his 4-year off-road racing career. And Scholthammer picked up a puncture and once again found themselves behind a Nashua Mobile Racing entry, this time the Jimco of Marsh and Ahir. Dropping places due to the puncture meant that they had to contend with choking dust in the cane fields, but they've proven in the past that they have been able to come from behind and win. Hard on their heels was the new 450 horsepower V6 powered Jimco of Magaghenene and Sally. Former quad racers Mark Breckel and Ian Kilburn in the ex-Stan Illman Roof of Africa winning Brasco Refrigeration Raceco were well placed at this point, but would later retire with a blown engine. Class B leaders Warren Morton and Donovan Brown from KwaZulu-Natal set a blistering pace and had moved into the top 10, but were closely followed by Class D leaders Pete Haasbroek and Christo Bosch in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, which was performing faultlessly. Class A contenders Greg Harvey and Boy Stone maintained a steady pace, but were followed closely by locals Gavin Gray and Brian Scott, who were the Class B winners in the Barberspun 500. The competition in Class B has developed into a north versus south battle, with the field equally split between Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Higo and Jaap de Bruin had matters under control in Class E in the competitive Toyota Hilux, but had to guard against putting a wheel wrong. They couldn't afford to lose any time to the hard-charging diesel-powered Ford Ranger of local cane farmers Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham. Back up with the leading pack, and Grobler and Leek were still in command in the Nissan hardbody, but had teammates de Villiers and Jordan in hot pursuit. The Reineke-Houghton Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser was experiencing power steering problems, which slowed them somewhat. Despite this problem, they were able to maintain their lead over the Team Ford Racing Ranger of Neil Woolridge and Kenny Scholthammer, who would retire soon after this with a broken front suspension, the result of a collision with a rock. There were similar problems for special vehicle category leaders Weir-Smith and George. They too hit the rock and suffered only a puncture on the Jimco, but valuable time was lost trying to replace the wheel without a jack. Haasbroek and Bosch were unstoppable in Class D in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, but had Harvey and Stone close behind in the Lexus V8-powered Queen Motorspares Jimco. Touring car driver Duncan Foss and Mike Griffith had got to grips with their Class D Nissan hardbody and were well placed for a maiden class win, while locals Mark Laurie and Andrew Davis had matters under control in Class S. The De Bruins were still in command in Class E in the Toyota Hilux, while former special vehicle crew Mark Corbett and John Moore had moved up to third in Class D in the Century Property Developments Isuzu. Schroeder and Peckham were lying second in Class E and content to play the waiting game. Andrew and Janet Fulton were the Class B leaders in the ex-Gavin Gray JRE. Multiple champion Franz Chepek Sr. and Scott Abraham led Class F in the O'Hagan's Kopenhagen Hotel Jeep. However, their race would end 40 kilometers from the finish when they rolled 30 meters down a mountainside. Magaghenene and Sally would also be forced into retirement with gearbox problems. The designated service point and new leader